Why are white people so sad?
What?
Why are white people so sad? It's like we've got everything, but still we can't be happy.
I feel that.
It's just not right. Like, we should be able to be happy too.
Why can't I enjoy all this privilege?
Why can't I be white and happy? It's not right. It's not right! That's going at the end of the episode. By the way, I uploaded it, but just a couple of kitties. That's
just a couple of kitties.
Yeah.
Hey, we are just a couple kitties. We gotta put some lube on there next time for you.
No, I much prefer the texture without lube.
So you guys have 2 bathtubs up there?
Yeah, we're filling up the dual bathtub.
Just move it over.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know this, but we're running a promotional sale on our website right now. Christmas sale, 25% off non-gamer girl bathwater.
Oh, nice.
So I don't know if you guys are into that or not.
She doesn't game. She has no interest in it yet. It's bathwater.
Well, I mean, there's like the whole meme of selling gamer girl bathwater, but there's this specific case.
Bella Delphine, who looks like she's just photoshopped her face into oblivion on everything so that she looks like an anime girl.
Yeah. Like
She's the weird one, right? On YouTube?
They're all weird.
Yeah.
They're all weird on YouTube.
She's like the one where
she acts like a cat. I think is her thing.
Never mind. I was thinking of Poppy for a second.
What a fucking world we live in where people pay good money to buy gamer girl bathwater. There's no guarantee it's bathwater. It's probably just tap water. In fact, it's like one of the most genius commercial moves.
Yeah, I think it's that's what capitalism's all about. Late stage capitalism.
Yes.
Well, that's like where the cream rises to the top with these e-girls who like sell nudes and bathwater or whatever. Is like you can really pluck out the genius marketers who can tap into those memes or just get the attention to sell their product.
All these e-girls are going to be e-girls in that they're executives for marketing companies because they're so good.
For executive, yeah.
That's what it is.
No longer for
not internet.
Electronic.
That's
internet.
Is
that what it is? It's
internet.
internet.
Stands for internet.
I just can't wait till Bernie wins and I can get my my free gamer girl bathwater.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what socialism is here for.
The 1% has all the bathwater. That's Nixon.
But
that was definitely Nixon.
Close.
Do your Obama again. I haven't heard in such a long time.
The American people deserve their bathwater. Whether dirty or clean, they deserve it now. For all.
Republicans want to make sure that we don't get gamer girl bathwater.
That's a horrible.
So you want to do it too? Okay,
I am not African American. Okay, I'm just doing my best here.
Jackson has a Ray Romano coming up in him. I think he's got to work on it.
I think I got to work on it a little bit, but it was kind of the natural progression. Let me see if I can get back into it here. Your typical Brooklyn, and then it gets really nasally, and there's a lot of tough guys here.
Yeah, that's more like it.
Watch out! They're worrying about this place. A lot of tough guys. You got to get back in there.
You got to get in there. It's in the throat, Miss Piggy.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's like almost Kermit.
It is basically Kermit. If he was from Brooklyn.
Yeah, if Kermit was from Brooklyn. We don't know where.
Isn't Kermit from New York?
Tough guys, yeah.
Maybe Kermit is putting on an affect, and in fact, he is from Brooklyn.
But he knows he doesn't get work if he sounds too Italian.
Kermit, it sounds a little ethnic. Could you maybe tone it down a little bit? Maybe something a little bit more Midwestern, please?
Ray Romano.
Or something like. All right.
That was like Obama. And
Obama's trying to come out of you at that.
The American people.
The American people.
Kermit as Obama.
A lot of tough guys here. They warned you about these guys.
What's that song? The Rainbow song from the Muppet movie?
Not familiar.
No, me neither. Me neither. Yeah, now's the time for phones. Get them out. Get your fucking fix.
Rainbow Connection.
Dude, we're gonna get so fucking sued for copyright.
Hold on. One more. There it is.
Well, I don't.
There's so many
So many Songs about rainbows. You gotta play the Big Bird song about being blue.
What was that?
Big Bird song about being blue. Rest in peace, Big Bird guy's voice, Lewis something. Lewis Carroll?
Very respectful that
Yes.
you would just call him the Big Bird guy.
Lewis Carroll, I think, was his name, maybe?
Lewis Carroll, you mean the writer of Alice in Wonderland?
Is that what I'm thinking of? It's from the Big Bird, Follow That Bird or Get That Bird or something. It's from. I loved this song. He's in a cage because he got captured by the circus and they painted him all blue. Oh, this is it. This is it. You guys are about to fucking cry.
Damn, he's about to lay down a beat on this. Jesus Christ. Oh my god.
Damn, man, it still gets me.
Is that what you were channeling?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was channeling.
Oh, is he dressed like a clown too?
Do you think I can go pee, or should I not move?
If you need to pee, now's the time, because we're ready to get started.
Are we resetting?
No, I think we're just gonna keep it rolling,
We're gonna just fucking
because I got
roll
plenty
with
of
it.
memory.
You don't want to cut it, though?
We'll just put an X, tape an X where you're sitting, so you have your mark.
Please. So you don't want me to get up?
Josh, go
Just go
pee.
pee.
You stupid son of a bitch, go pee. Can you believe him? I know. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I never would have suggested him as a lover and roommate if I would have known that this is
Josh is really DPing my life.
the guy he is.
The roommate in podcast.
You've got a dick in every hole.
Thank you to the Parasite Club.
Thank you, Parasite Club.
Yeah, thanks a lot for liking the episode I'm not in.
Yeah, I mean that was the draw. Not that. Oh wait, actually there was one comment, and it wasn't on Parasite, but it was on Starship Troopers.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, he posted, "LOL, have any of these hating ass geeks ever been laid?"
Have these hating ass nerds even been laid?
Yeah, LOL.
Wow. LOL, you laughed out loud.
He laughed out loud about that.
That's just like
Nerds don't get laid.
LOL. Might as well while I'm at it.
Oh, I guess I'll throw an LOL.
Just a little flourish on the end there. LOL.
Actually, this is a great point, or time for me to shout out Trey, Slade Bankston, the third. He recently watched a bunch of our videos and then just would text me and be like, "Shark come, LOL," which would give me a signal
Shark come be hidden.
that he watched one of the episodes. And I'm like, "Oh, nice."
I don't even remember that one. What is that from?
That was from Jaws.
Jaws.
Oh, Jaws.
Remember when
okay.
we were talking about how they cut open the shark and it was full of shark cum, and then we were talking about how
That was
the
the-
whole
that was
quest
the
for Jaws
crux.
was to get the shark cum out of Jaws.
Yeah, that was the whole point of the intro was.
You must have been drunk, like always.
Shark
I don't think I'll learn that one.
So Trey, if you're watching this, what's up? Thank you.
Thanks, Trey. Speaking of self-congratulatory, have you guys seen Marriage Story?
What's that?
The new Noah Baumbach film starring Adam Driver,
Bombay.
Scarlett Johansson, Alan Alda, Ray Liotta, and then some women.
Laura Dern.
Oh, yeah.
I respect all women.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
That is a full disclaimer.
Backpedaling as always.
My lawyer said get in touch with your lawyer, and he said to make it clear that I respect all women.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, Marriage Story, starring Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson. They're the two leads in the film. There's many other excellent side characters as well.
That
I'm
almost
show my
steal the
cards a little
show.
soon. Show my card.
Yeah.
But it is unique in that, like The Irishman, in that it's like a big major filmmaker who is releasing their film on Netflix.
Yeah, and everyone has their age,
They're de-aged. Yes.
their de-age.
Everyone is
Yes.
digitally de-aged. Yeah.
Adam Driver was aged up to 75 and then aged back down to 36.
Yep, and
Yeah.
then back up to 45, back down to 32.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
where they kept them.
And it kept him. The whole movie, it doesn't change at all. It's just that the software had to make
Yeah.
it older than younger than older than younger again.
Yeah. And it makes sense when you watch it. I know this sounds strange, but it makes sense when you watch it.
Yeah, you'll get it.
She knows when to push me and when to leave me alone.
He never lets other people keep him from what he wants to do.
Dad, you're too far.
I know. It's not easy for her to close a cabinet.
He's incredibly neat.
She's brave.
He's brilliant. He's
She's
very
very
competitive.
What'd you guys think of Marriage Story?
I thought it was interesting that Kylo Ren and the Black Widow they don't love each other anymore.
This is a Disney origin story. Actually, I don't know if people know that or not, but this is Kylo Ren and Black Widow before they went off to their respective careers as evil Star-Lord and Marvel piece of ass who dies for no reason.
Whoa, spoilers.
Hey, she's
Disney.
in her own fucking movie. So
That trailer, though.
I respect all women.
I haven't seen the
think
trailer.
I said that before, but I'll say it again.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Disney, if you're watching, which you are, we like these things that we're talking about.
What the fuck did you guys think of Marriage Story?
I loved it.
I liked it a lot, but I have a high standard for Noah Baumbach, and so we'll get into it.
Why is that? No, let's get into it.
Hang on a second. I fucking loved this movie.
All right.
All right, now we can get into it.
Me and Josh, I think we all used the L word. Me and Asin used the big L word.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Why
guys are
did-
committed.
So you had a high standards just based off his old movies?
Well, Noah Baumbach's one of my favorite working directors right now, and
Yeah,
I've been a fan
mine
of him
too.
for a
Typical,
for
just
a while.
loving while. Male.
I love white men, as everyone
directors.
knows. I've never said a bad thing about a white man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. And his last movie was
The Meyerowitz.
The Meyerowitz story,
Which I haven't
Yeah.
seen yet.
fucking great.
I kind of find it to be minor Baumbach.
You did have some negative things to say when I asked you about it.
Adam Sandler is fantastic.
He's great.
In that movie, but I didn't like the structure of the Meyerowitz stories where it was kind of like cutting back and forth and we weren't exactly you fucking you cocksucker motherfucker, son of a bitch, piece of shit.
I don't know what he's talking about.
So that was Ben Stiller, Adam Sandler.
Dustin Hoffman.
Who went through almost got Me Too'd. Not Me Too. Sorry, not Me Too.
It was like
he
a
almost
really
got canceled
weird Me Too
because he just said
moment.
weird stuff about women or people who were being accused of sex. It was like 2017, so it was the height of it all. But
Well,
Yeah.
I thought that there was I don't want to sidetrack it here, but he had somebody come out that was like somebody like a support person on staff on a movie say that he was very rude.
oh right, and he discredited her and all that stuff. And then it was during an interview or a panel or something. I don't know. Whatever.
You love the Meyerowitz story.
Meyerowitz story. I liked. I loved it. I liked it a lot.
Which it's
Francis
important.
Ha.
It's important to note though that Meyerowitz Stories was his first Netflix film. I think he's under contract with Netflix for
Oh, was
3
that
movies.
original Netflix. Okay, I
It
did
was.
not know that. That's
So,
interesting.
so Marriage Story is his second Netflix film. It was released in theaters, which I think Netflix has to do in order for them to be considered for awards.
Wait, what is it again that they have to be considered? What do they have to do?
Be released in theaters for a little while.
Oh,
All right,
okay.
I thought you just submit
No, I think that sounds about right.
for Oscars.
I believe so.
Listen, dude, I looked up the Oscar submission guidelines. It doesn't say anything about theaters.
All right, well, look for us on the Oscars
Yeah,
because
we're not
we
including
will
any of
be
this.
submitting.
We
We're not,
get
not
easily
aware of
get
this.
over 50 minutes. No, but so Francis Ha,
Greenberg.
While We Were Young, Greenberg,
And then
Kicking
What
and Screaming.
about my favorite one, The Squid and the Whale?
His first masterpiece, which was
So
Squid
good.
and the Whale.
Squid and the Whale.
Yeah.
While We're Young is pretty good.
He just has a really
Yeah.
good body of work, and it's a really nice progression. And he's an artist. He's very intentional with his work, and very close to him. It's very personal stuff.
A lot of his stuff is kind of thinly autobiographical,
Yeah.
which this is no exception to that, obviously. So a little background on Noah Baumbach. He was married to Jennifer Jason Leigh for a number of years. They had a son together. And then when he did Francis Ha, he met Greta Gerwig,
we all met.
and that was when their divorce happened. And
did he
divorced her.
did he cheat?
yes. So that's the elements of the story
Did he
kind
cheat?
of mirror reality in that respect from Marriage Story.
Well, what's interesting is that Noah Baumbach has come out and said this isn't about Jennifer Jason Leigh. Scarlett Johansson's not. That's not her. It's not about her. It's more. I think it's more akin to him imagining if him and Greta divorced or broke up.
I kind of got that too.
I think that is somewhat true. I think that the Scarlett Johansson character is a mashup of Jennifer Jason Leigh and Greta Gerwig. I think the character is Greta Gerwig, but the marital difficulties and the split
I
is
agree.
Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, and so a lot of people were just like, "It's Jennifer Jason Leigh." So
He showed it to Jennifer Jason Leigh.
and she said she was cool with it. 'cause
She
it's
liked
not-
it.
She said it wasn't her.
Well,
That's what she's.
It wasn't her, but I'm sure that there were some moments that she was like, "Oh damn, son, I remember that happening."
It felt like if you were reflecting on your relationships and you were including the things that were problematic or noteworthy, and that's gonna naturally just accumulate into other people in your life coming into these characters.
Let's talk about this fucking movie. I love it.
So I have a high standard for Noah Baumbach because he's one of my favorite directors right now, and there are just some minor things, not minor things, but it didn't. The more I think about it, it's really hard to depict a real problematic relationship, a relationship that's failing.
But he was successful because he didn't dwell on that.
He didn't really try.
I thought that this movie was going to be 2 hours of people fighting. And just like fighting and fighting and fighting.
Yeah, screaming.
But instead it was like maybe the first 15, 20 minutes, we established the characters, we established they were having trouble in their marriage, and then boom, the separation happens. And that's when the story actually kicks off. And I was pleased that it wasn't dwelling on fights.
Well, it actually sows the seeds for bad breakups because those don't always start with like, oh, we're done, I'm out of here. It's like, oh, you have to still interact with each other, and there's those, the feelings are still kind of there. And
but she did leave. She just like went to L.A.
Well, she did, but for a pilot, there was like a reason why she went to L.A., not necessarily for the split.
Well, okay, so how does this movie start? She's in his play still.
So Adam Driver is a genius, I guess we shall say, avant-garde.
Technically, he is.
Theater director, theater director in New York. And he has featured Scarlett Johansson and his wife as his main actress in all of his plays for the last 10 years or so that they've been together. She started out as a actress in like a teenage rom-com movie.
Sex comedy.
Yeah, a sex comedy where she like shows her boobies.
And one more thing. Whoa.
Yeah, but she found her place as an actress within his theater company. And then basically she gets this opportunity for a pilot. So she says, hey, I'm going to move out to LA where my family is. I'm going to film this pilot. We're going to go from there. And it's kind of on tenuous ground as to whether they're actually getting separated or if she's just taking some time away. And then the movie takes off from there. I wanted to point out real quick a brilliant scene in that first 15 minutes. They stage Adam Driver's avant-garde thing, which is, of course, just like batshit and incomprehensible. And he's taking notes. He gives them to the cast and crew. And then they're together afterwards in their apartment. And she's like, I know you have notes. And he's like, oh, well, it's not a big deal. And she's like, no, I know you like won't be able to sleep until you give me these notes. And he's like, okay, yes. So in scene 7, your posture was a little bit too straight. And in scene 9, the emotion that you were using didn't feel genuine. Like I didn't feel the emotion from you. And she's like, okay, thanks. And then she turns around and starts crying. And there's
she goes down to bed.
Yeah, that genuine emotion comes out. And that was just like I was like, what a brilliant marriage, no pun intended, except for sort of like screenplay and direction and everything. That was the first moment where I was like, oh shit, we're dealing with like a master of his craft here.
One of the things I love about Noah Baumbach so much is he's so writerly. And
yes.
It's very intentional, the way, like the delivery. It feels like a drama, essentially. Or not a drama, sorry, a play. Like, it's very heightened. I don't know. Let you guys keep talking because I want to bring something up. But I want to wait. I want to wait a little bit.
Before we move on from the scene, I want to talk about one thing, which this was actually the moment, same scene that I was like, oh, this is genius, was when she's like, oh, did you, get a chance to check out my pilot? He was like, oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, it was good. She's like, well, tell me what you really think. He's like, I don't really watch TV.
Yeah, and then the camera pans over
with her to just him watching, like the TV's on that he's watching.
Yes. I was also like, God damn, like what a fucking great touch. Brilliant touch. So then after this, the movie breaks away to where she's in LA, he's in New York, and he's trying to figure out where they are in their relationship. And she takes their son with her. So then he's like flying back and forth between New York and LA to be with their son, and then also try to maintain his theater company. Lawyers get involved. The brilliant Laura Dern. Laura Dern is absolutely fantastic in this movie. and then he has to lawyer up. And I don't want to get too much in the plot. I want to talk about some specifics. Let's start with the acting. So I feel like this movie has some of the finest acting I've seen in a very long time. And that's across the board. That's the supporting characters, that's the main characters. But I would have to say that Adam Driver's performance in this movie and Scarlett Johansson's performance in the movie are best actor and best actress material, hands down.
Absolutely.
Like the best,
definitely gonna get
best performances of the year.
Yeah,
100%.
He's gonna win for sure.
Yeah.
I think Scarlett Johansson will get nominated.
Scarlett Johansson had these like incredible monologues. The one that sticks out to me in my mind is when she goes to see Laura Dern for the first time,
a really good one.
and she's describing the dissolution of their marriage, where she's like, I felt invisible, like everything was on his terms. I was basically just a player in his theater company. I wasn't his wife.
How are you doing?
One thing I really liked about this movie is that the conversations were so fucking realistic, and that when you're having a conversation with someone, 9 times out of 10, you're not just sitting on a couch across from them having a conversation. You're going to get a glass of water, and you're talking from the other room. Oh, yeah, no, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And the staging, the blocking, the mise en scène of those scenes were so, I felt like, true to life, where
It's good spacing. A lot of like the framing was really nice, and it felt open and at the same time really intimate.
yeah, like you said, she walks to the bathroom to get some tissue as she's telling the story, and she walks back, and it's all this one continuous shot, and it just felt so, I'll say it, goddamn authentic.
Yeah, and then while we're at that, in that scene too, like the brilliant Laura Dern portrayal of this character, like you really get a feel for like what lawyers are like.
Yes.
Where it's like, oh, go talk to this lawyer. Oh, I've talked to lawyers before, you know, I just haven't really found anybody I like. And Laura Dern's character, she's like, she turns into this high school friend for
Right.
these women.
She takes off her high heels, and she gets onto the
Gets
couch
some
next to
delicious
her.
tea.
So
yes.
I was struggling with the lawyers in this movie because when I watched it, I was like, why am I can't relate to them. They're really unrelatable characters for a while. For maybe Laura Dern's the exception, but Ray Liotta's like he's just like a character. He's just
Eat,
like
drink, and remarry.
yeah, and
I don't know if they're there for you to relate to. I think
But-
you're supposed to relate to either Adam Driver or Scarlett Johansson.
but they have a really prominent role, and then we're doing court proceedings and we're listening. So I'm thinking about it. I'm like, what is the point of it? And then I kind of realized that maybe the movie isn't necessarily talking about how a marriage or a relationship fails and what that looks like, but rather what are the factors outside of it that contribute to making it so problematic. And I think the lawyer and the legal system and why people need to lawyer up is like the kind of the antagonist of the movie.
Well, so who gives you that narrative in this movie?
I think it's, what do you mean?
It's Alan Alda who describes that to you, because he's like, he basically like sums up the whole situation they're in. He's like, hey, look, you have a kid, that's why you're here.
Oh, sure.
This system is meant to protect like poor single moms, so you're gonna have a hard time here, so you should just settle out. Your kids are gonna live in LA. And he basically describes what's gonna happen, and it does happen.
Yes.
And I feel like he's like the realist that tries to appeal to Adam Driver.
I think the purpose is to show the absurdity of like 100 years ago, you probably didn't get divorced, but if you did, you just fucking split and you figure it out.
Right.
And
You
the
don't.
woman's usually just left in shambles. 'Cause
Right.
She got divorced.
She's left with the kid. Man just leaves. Something like that. But what he's showing is this perversion that is caused by the legal system. And it's that brilliant scene in the courtroom where you're wondering, are they just in like a room hashing things out, and they're going back and forth? Ray Liotta's like, she's an alcoholic. He said that she like was stumbling down the stairs, and
Right.
and Laura Dern's like, oh well, we're gonna take about half of that genius grant money that he has,
Right.
and then the camera opens up to show the people like sitting in the stands, and the judge's like, well, there's a
I
lot of
knew
people
this
waiting,
I did
and.
like. Yeah, Obama's humor is very like dry and then also very punchy, where it's like you get to it and there's no lingering and you just move on. And then
Well, it's
I like that scene though a lot.
his humor has faith in the audience. Like when the kid's making coffee with the French press, and he's like, he makes good coffee. And then he pours Scarlett Johansson a little cup, and she takes a sip. He's like, this is good. And she turns around, and it's just coffee grounds like all down the side of the cup.
Yeah.
And Adam Driver follows it up too. He says, "Oh, this is good." And he drinks the coffee too.
So, I think that was where the movie first really grabbed me, was that I understood that what he was trying to talk about was not necessarily all about what it means to separate from your spouse. It's what it means to separate from your spouse in the modern age when you have lawyers involved.
A kid.
And a kid.
Part of it, yeah.
And also, too, I think he was trying to show how difficult it is for men. And I know that that's strange to say, but typically speaking, as far as these proceedings are concerned, women have the upper hand. It's like one of the only places in modern society where women do have the upper hand.
Well, in California specifically.
But I thought the most brilliant scene that demonstrated this, I'm going to be using brilliant a lot because that's the word that comes to mind, is when they're having like the Laura Dern and Alan Alda characters are having the little meeting, and they're talking about like, oh, well, my client wants them to be a New York family. And she's like, well, no, they're clearly an LA family. And he's like, I'm going to have a sidebar with my client. And they go into the room, and the first shot is them literally backed into a corner. They're backed into the corner of the room, which is so symbolic of where they are in the divorce proceedings as well. And then Alan Alda walks over to the little snack table, and he like tries to get a cup of coffee, and he's like, and there's just no coffee that comes out, and he like is looking for a donut, and there's nothing but crumbs.
While
and he
he's
just grabs the crumbs, and he's like,
while he's delivering like line too, he's just like going and going and doing all this stuff. It's
a
really good.
super wise, like concise. This is the options that you have. We're gonna have to give up New York. You're
It's
gonna
like
have
no
to move
joy
to LA.
in them, yeah.
And
But-
so at this point in the movie too, like you know Laura Dern's a fucking shark.
Yes,
He goes and meets
not even a shark, just like great at what she does.
She's a realist.
She like
she's a shark.
okay.
And Laura
She's a lawyer. Yeah.
but like also he goes and meets Ray Liotta.
Ray Baby Yoda.
my Madonna Liotta, and he's a shark too, and they're like give us the dirt, like it's already we already have to start off like, you know, strong here because we have to just come at them with everything we have.
And he's like, God, you let her come out here with the kid. Like, God, you know what this does to it. And his face is like red, and there's like a vein bulging in his head.
Yeah, he's like, I'm $9.50 an hour, he's $4.50 an hour. Stupid questions, you go to him.
Yes.
And then he goes to Alan Alda, and he's like relating to him. He's like, hey, look, you're my client, I see you as a person.
He treats him as a human being, and he actually speaks to him of like, hey, this sucks. I
Right.
know this sucks. I've been through it.
And like an audience member, you're just like, he's gonna get steamrolled. This is not gonna end well. Which I thought was interesting because, like I said, like Alan
Alda's like heating up his lunch in their shitty little
he's
lunchroom.
like, these are my glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a really good moment.
Yeah.
He goes to his daughter, and he's like,
Yeah. Speaking of
she's like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. That she
good
gets
scene building, like that's all one take where they walk into the next room together. So
Yes.
he could switch his glasses out.
And he
with
gets
the
a sad
secretary.
little Tupperware out of and puts it in the microwave. And
yeah.
and
So he's a nice foil to the two like industry lawyers who have,
Right.
you know, are just like out to get, like they have a single mission, and it's to win.
And he's kind of made out like the mustard on the shirt lawyer, but he, like I said, he turns out to be right. Yeah, he
he's
had
the
to
only
give-
human.
Laura Dern provides some, you know, I thought she was kind of like one note for a while, and then she has that scene where I think Scarlett Johansson kind of is like, hey, maybe we should back off. Maybe we should like not take the, like, I don't know,
It's
there's
the
like a moment of
45,
weakness.
55.
Yeah, 45-55. She's like,
Yeah.
well, I thought we were just going to go equal. And Laura Dern just breaks out into this monologue where she's like,
Laura Dern like kind of cuts her off. She's like, no.
no, this doesn't, like, we're winning this not because of, like, this is what's good
Just
for the
'cause we
family,
can.
but because, like women are fucked over, and we're never going to get, like, what we deserve. So I'm going to do this now because this is all we have. Kind of like that vein.
Yeah.
And that's so illustrative of the entire approach that these lawyers take, which is that with Scarlett Johansson is protesting, no, I don't want that. No, this is about winning. This is about, because fuck him. This is about their profession. I am winning my case as a lawyer.
And she
I
also
just
extended
snuck
it
that
to
in there.
women.
Yeah.
She was kind of like, well, women aren't going to, like, we don't get the fair shake of it all. And we, like, this is our moment. And family court is like to fucking win something for once. I thought that was a really interesting moment. It kind of made me feel a little more kind to her character, where she's like fierce and like standoffish or just like intense, but she has this moment of like,
Oh, Laura Dern.
yeah, I'm still thinking about you as a woman and as a mother and like the stability of your family and your future, but also that like in a way that's not necessarily like comforting.
So I felt kind of opposite, because I feel like everything she said in that regard was said from like a cynical point of view, where she's trying to sell her wares, basically, where she's like, women are screwed over, what would you do without me, in this system.
But they had already won. It was just more of a specific thing. I think she was just saying like, you need to win in a clear way, not in a 50-50 way, because of the whole women thing.
Basically,
Women,
you needed that
like,
that one
whatever their
extra
problems are.
little chip. You need that.
Whoa, it's coming into your speech now.
You need that one extra little chip in your favor so that you can say, and I can say, we won. Yeah. This was not a compromise. We won.
Right. I didn't lay down.
That kind of highlights like an interesting dynamic in this movie, where you have pre-lawyer and then post-lawyer, because. And then also Adam Driver's character's realizing that the game has changed here.
And he's like, "Oh yeah, we agreed that we weren't going to do lawyers.
Yeah,
so I don't know why she's calling me right now." And all of his theater players are coming in, and he's like picking the things for the set, and then fucking wonderful Wallace Simpson is coming in, and he's like, "I thought I was going to talk about," and here I am, fucking a 4-time Academy winner, sucking my cock.
Well, I cut off words and cock. Sucking my, and then Adam
yes,
Driver
and then it's out.
A little cheesy. I liked it.
So I think it's a good segue here. You were talking about how they lawyered up, and then there was a moment in the movie when they said, "Fuck lawyers, let's try to talk this out," and it leads to the centerpiece of the film, and what I consider to be probably the finest scene in the film, which is the fight in the apartment, which was, I mean, brilliant. It was expertly written, acted, directed. The escalation was incredible.
Yep.
Where they're sitting on the couch talking to each other perfectly calm, and then you can tell. Yeah, you can tell Adam Driver's getting frustrated. He walks over, he tries to open the wrong side of the cabinet, as he frequently does because he's new to the place. Opens up, gets a drink, and then he's like, she starts talking about his parents. He walks into the other room. He's doing something else. He's trying to check out from the fight, but she's not letting him. She's coming in there. She's confronting him, and then things get fucking wild.
You're just like your father.
Don't ever say that. Don't ever say I'm just like my father.
He like rushes out of he rushes back into the living room. That was a pretty intense moment.
Yes, and then it obviously just keeps escalating and escalating in this way that feels totally organic. He's punching a fucking hole in the wall, and it ends with him red-faced saying like, "Every day I hope you get fucking sick and you get hit by a fucking car." And then he just folds like a house of cards. This man who's like 6'3", fucking huge, just folds into this like pile of laundry and weeps. And it's like, it was just so deliciously human,
and also like great foreshadowing too, because they established this character is prone to crying.
Yes.
So it's not like, oh, it seems like he's forcing that. It's like, no, he does that.
Well, and they say that even in the beginning when they're talking about things I love about Nicole, things I love about Adam Driver, who's Charlie. And she's saying like he cries readily at movies.
And also like the way they cut, which was actually kind of funny, with him and his son leaving a movie, and they're like, I cried. We both cried 4 times, and then Adam Driver's like, I wonder if it was the same 4 times.
Yes.
That was a really good. It was a nice line.
Yes.
Yeah. No, Baumbach has great one-liners.
He does have great one-liners, but he also just has like such an ear for dialogue and such an ability to observe the way that we interact with each other. And that's what I'm talking about as far as like getting up, going into another room because you don't want to hear what's being said. So you feel like you can escape it in some way, but no, that shit's going to follow you into the next room that you go to.
Yeah, he utilizes space really well, and like movement and having kind of like, I guess the fluidity of it gives you more tension too. I think you can do tension with just sitting down and 2 characters in the same space and they're not moving, but if you have more dynamic movement, you can kind of like, it's more unpredictable, and I feel like it would give actors more space to like kind of belt out and have these moments of like inspiration. And so yeah, I think direction wise it's like spot on.
I realized I didn't ever really come alive for myself. I was just feeding his aliveness.
I'll never get to really be his parent again. He needs to know that I fought for him.
The other scene that I would really like to talk about is the scene with with the social worker.
Oh God.
Which is played by the woman who plays Martha in Baskets.
Basically the same character.
Yeah, I don't know the actress's name, but she comes over and like he's putting on the show for her.
Well, while you're doing that, there's also some brilliant setup for the scene where you have Scarlett Johansson. You think she's in the interview with the social worker, and
Yes.
she's describing herself. She's like, "Well, I have 1 or 2 drinks. Sometimes up at the restaurant, I order a bottle.
Sometimes
and,
with a little bottle.
Yeah, maybe I drink too much sometimes. Maybe I do this." And then, cut. She's actually talking with her lawyers in prep for this interview.
Yes.
Laura Dern pulls an Addison and says, "You're not including any of that."
Not a word of this. Not a word of this. We're not including.
Good one.
Call back.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then you cut to the next scene, and it's Adam Driver answering the door for the social worker who you just expect is like this blood-sucking monster, and it's this very like disarming character.
Timid.
Sorry,
Adam Driver.
I think I was at the wrong door.
So
And just the brilliant end of this scene, which I haven't laughed this hard probably since The Lighthouse. The end of this scene,
I cackled. Yeah.
Yeah, where the son earlier on is like, "Show me the knife trick, Dad," as they're eating dinner. He's like, "I'm not going to
just
show you
sounds
the
bad.
knife trick right now, son." and she's like, and he's like, no, the knife trick is just something I do with his mom, and blah blah blah. And then they're sitting in this uncomfortable silence in the apartment, and he just, apropos of nothing, is like, "So the knife trick is I have this little keychain box cutter on my keychain, and like I'll take it and I'll slit my wrist with it, but I'll pull the blade out, and then all of a sudden you see the blood start coming out of it." And he's like, "I didn't do it this time." He starts holding
I
it.
must not put it back.
Yeah, and she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "I'm fine." And, like, the blood is like coming out from between his fingers, and he rolls his sleeve down, and he stands up in this great shot. You see the blood dripping off of his fingertips, and she's like ducking and weaving as he's trying to touch her with his blood.
She's trying to leave, and like the lock is like a weird thing, and he's like reaching around her, and she's like, "Oh."
You sucky sucky, you cocky cocky, you go go, you.
I do love that scene a lot, and it reminds me of my dad. Because are your parents divorced? Either of you?
Nope. But both of our parents have been divorced to other people, but they're
Your parents are
with their
related.
parents.
You guys have the same mom.
I
and
don't
dad.
know him.
You guys are brothers.
That's not true. We are cousins. My mother
nepotism
and
at its
his
finest.
father are siblings.
Yeah, this is nepotism. This is
On
a
camera?
prestigious
Really?
podcast, and you just bring on your relatives,
It's
whoever,
nepotism at its best.
getting millions of subscribes.
You
Anyways,
are completely derailing this love fest that's happening right now.
I know. I want to take a break from the circle jerk. My parents are so that scene reminds me of my dad when because my dad often slits his wrists. My parents divorced, and then there's like that weird moment where one parent is doing better than the other,
Oof, yeah.
and you're like, and I was older. I was 18 when my parents separated, and so I like I knew it wasn't about me, and so
So you were like playing with your Legos in the room when the social worker came over.
You're like,
Mama-
does he like to play a lot?
He loves to play. He loves to play. So, Dad, can we play with the Lego
Yeah.
later?
Just like Josh's dad with like a plate of apples, like putting it
Yeah,
down
just-
before.
Here you go. Thanks, Dad. There was no social workers involved, surprisingly, and they actually got divorced in California. But yeah, there's that weird, awkward moment where you realize that like one parent is just doing better and is transitioning better from the relationship, and it's like,
And that's
It's like-
inevitable in these
Yeah,
types of
any
situations.
Oh,
relationship.
they had a plan here.
there's no like
Yeah.
true amicable, like, at least like maybe you get to the same point eventually, but it's not the same timeline. And so Adam Driver's in that moment, and it's like him slitting his throat and then just like, or his wrist, and then bleeding all over the place, and like pretty much like a horror scene. Like is like he picks up her purse and like is like blood all over the handle, and she doesn't want to take it, but she has to. Like very predatory, and then he collapses onto the. Because once she leaves,
I thought
he
was gonna
panics.
die. I was like, this is.
I thought he was
going
to wake up in the hospital, and they were going to be like, "Are you okay, sir? You tried to commit suicide last night."
We called your next of kin. What?
But there's also a symbolism in that, in terms of the actual bleeding. Like he's bleeding money, and he's bleeding
That
in
$25,000 check, man.
Right.
Pain.
Just to start.
and he's just bleeding in a metaphoric sense. He's losing all of his life essence, everything that he thought he had built up to that point,
And then his
is
kid
gone
walking
now.
into the room and being like, "Are you sleepy?"
Yeah, and like pouring a glass of milk,
Just
and then
naive to the whole
spills that
thing.
one drop like right in front of him, just nonchalant.
Right.
The kid doesn't give a fuck.
So that's the thing that kind of reeled me in, was that the kid is like the next character. For me, it's like the lawyers, that's the point, and then the kid. And then it's these two doing it. They're like kind of causing all of this. They're underneath it all. But it's like who's having the most impact? And it's the kid who is basically like kind of continuing the separation, where he is going through his mommy phase and like wants to be in California, doesn't want to be with his dad. And then he's also being affected by it the most, because that's just how divorces work with kids involved. And so that kind of like just really was a poignant moment where he's like unaffected by him bleeding out on the floor, like clearly like in like his face is red and like your dad's not okay, and at the same time like unaffected, but because he's like been so separated from like having any real like care for his dad like he did in the beginning of the movie. So like it's just like that moment where it's like, this is what a divorce can do to
He
a child.
chose the side.
Yeah, and it's like what the effect it has on like kids and how they view your parents.
Well, I think from a creative standpoint, like I think that Noah Baumbach was like, "Hey, you want a kid's perspective? Go watch The Squid and the Whale," because that
Yeah.
was about my parents' divorce.
True.
This is about from an adult perspective, like going through a divorce. Which
But it still runs through that it's
the kids definitely has a narrative here.
Yeah.
Like as far as what's going on, because yeah, he has the scene where he's like, "All my friends are out here. Or, my family's out here. I want to stay in L.A."
Or when he's talking to the social worker and she's like, "So do you play a lot with your dad?" And he's like, "Yeah, I play Legos with my dad and stuff. But when I'm at home, and like just that use of the word home, Adam Driver pauses in the hallway as he hears it, and he realizes he'll never be home to this kid again.
That was also, that whole scene just like really got to me, because it's like,
It's fucking gutting.
It's gutting.
because it's like it's just having that emotion of like I enjoy being at one place, one of my parents' places than the other, and like
Yes.
having to like wrestle with that idea.
So this film gives you a couple great chances to kind of feel Adam Driver's just his realization, his pain. Another one is Halloween.
Yeah, Halloween was so brilliant. Where
was.
he has this costume made up for the kid, and then the
Which
kid
is clearly his idea.
He's
his-
Invisible Man.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's Adam Driver's Invisible Man, and the kid is Frankenstein because they want to go as these classic monsters. But then the kid's like, "No, I want to be a ninja because my cousins are ninjas."
I love the shot of them like walking up the sidewalk in like an underpass, and like they're Halloween.
And there's like graffiti everywhere, and it's all dark, and he like can't see anything because he's wearing these sunglasses and
And then they get home, and he just dumps his candy on the floor with just a couple
like
suckers.
4 pieces and a lighter.
And then Adam Driver walks by, and he gets down, and he's like, "Who gave you a lighter?"
Yeah, and then he uses it to open his beer. Just this like incredible sequence of events that
Right. And
that
it's
are so loaded with meaning.
Oh, so much meaning there, because it's also the scene where like Scarlett Johansson's like, drawing these boundaries of their future relationship, where it's just like, you're not invited to like our events anymore. Sorry, like you're gonna have to start doing your own thing. We're gonna do 2 Halloweens, and he doesn't plan his well. Like it doesn't go the way that he imagines this Halloween, and it bites. That
Yeah.
scene bites a lot.
Okay, I found it. I figured it out.
Why does this movie suck?
I can now. I gotta. All right, I have not been as lovey-dovey on this movie. I still think it's a really good movie, and I think it's top 3 best movies I've seen this year, maybe 2.
100%.
Like it's easily up there, and I would love to see it do well.
Why is The Irishman a better movie?
in the awards
Go
season?
for
You mean Atlantics?
Josh, it
So-
is what it is. Okay.
Tell your friend who doesn't love this movie. It is what it is.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to make Josh disappear.
Josh-
If he doesn't say he loves this movie.
Josh, do you think this movie
You guys are
is
worse-
what it is?
You guys are worse than Disney. So the main thing, and it's a slight nitpick, and maybe I'm building it up too much, and you're just gonna shoot it down. Noah Baumbach usually creates characters that are complex and have moral grayness to them. They don't. I thought you were gonna. Sorry, I'm a little traumatized.
Oh, it's coming.
I'm traumatized from the last time.
Get it out.
Not
and
a
then
fucking word of this.
So he just makes characters good and bad, pretty common stuff. And then this movie, Noah Baumbach is supposed to be this guy who's manipulative, who kind of brings Scarlett Johansson in, but then like uses her, and he's selfish. All the things that Scarlett Johansson says. Especially with the monologue with Laura Dern, she says all these things. That's what's wrong with the relationship. That's her side of it. And then, but really what's happening is that he cheated on her. That's what the end of that monologue is essentially. Is like, oh, he's doing all these shitty things. He's gaslighting me, all that stuff. And he cheated on me.
What a fucking asshole.
Right, which is a great addition by Laura Dern.
You
Yeah.
could tell she's said that a million times.
Yeah.
So she explained all of that, and then so the real problem here is that he cheated on her. That's what did it.
You're just making me love this movie even more.
That was
But I'm not done. I'm not done.
Okay.
Yes.
Hold on. This is the first half of it.
That was the catalyst that really made her say fuck you.
I was like, I'm going to LA and I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
I have my thing. I have a reason to go there, but I'm not coming back. So, but really what happens is she takes their son, to California and says, I'm not coming back. Essentially separating the family. Mm-hmm. So she's doing an incredibly selfish act that is not only harming the family, but harming like the child's future, which is like, you're not going to be with your father if he doesn't want to be here. Like that's a much different act than cheating in regards to the child.
I disagree.
So the problem I have with the movie is that the movie tries to make Adam Driver seem like a bad guy as much as Scarlett Johansson is.
Why is this bad?
I don't think that's true
But-
though.
No, let him finish. Why is that bad?
So the end of it is just simply that Adam Driver is still the good guy in this movie, and we still feel more sympathy for him than we do for her, even though all these horrible things he's done to her really don't weigh out properly, even though we're being told all the time how shitty Adam Driver is. But really, I don't see any of it in the movie. There's no real examples of it. Even like scenes like, oh, you're being so selfish right now. I don't really feel that. And that was like the slight problem I had with the movie, is that it just wasn't believable enough.
No. Infidelity, first of all, is a big thing. That's a huge thing.
Yeah, it's
Well,
the main grounds
it was
for
like
divorce.
the big shadow hanging over this whole thing.
But the scene with Alan Alda and Laura Dern, where they're talking about things, and she's like, you said that you guys could potentially come out to LA for a few months and
There's
see
so
her
much space
family.
out here.
But the space. And he's like, oh yeah, no, we had that discussion. And then he's like, but we're a New York family. He's like, yeah, that's the deal we had. And she's like, oh, I see. So when it's in your favor, it's a deal. But when it's in her favor, it's a discussion.
Yeah.
And
That was that one instance.
Yeah, so I feel like the movie did a great job of establishing how single-minded Adam Driver's character was, and therefore selfish. And cheating on your spouse is perhaps the most selfish act one can commit, because you're basically saying like, oh yeah, this life we built together, this child that we have, all that.
I just need to come.
I just need a nut.
So I think for a movie that's pretty boring. And I like, just that's what it is. That's what
It would be boring if it was more of a locus of the movie where there was so much conversation and dialogue, but you cheated on me and blah blah blah. It's actually just 3 scenes. There's the first.
But that's what does it, though. That's the thing.
That is the catalyst.
That's what does
where
it.
she says, "Fuck you, I'm leaving."
It's kind of like
It's not about the cheating, though.
It's not about the cheating.
padded.
It's about what preceded the cheating, was his emotional distance.
Right, but
him treating her like a prop.
Right, yeah, and I just don't get it enough. That's the main problem. And it's not like that makes the movie bad at all.
Look, if you want me to have a word with Hannah, I will. If you don't get it
So
enough.
what if I tell women what to do? They do what I say.
No.
What?
It was a bad joke that went awry. The point is, is that it's
Oh, is he
there.
making jokes?
No, the context is there,
I would slightly disagree.
and the
So
okay, go ahead.
I just wanted you to clarify something. You said that his characters are usually there's a lot more gray area. You felt like there wasn't much gray area in this movie.
I felt like he was working. He had to like add something in there for Adam Driver's character to not be completely redeemable, which is the cheating. I don't think anything else about his character was too bad.
His character is redeemed at the end of the film.
Well, I feel like
Right,
her complaints
exactly.
with them can be too abstract. You know, like, oh, you're selfish. You're like this director, and I have to fit your vision. Which, yeah, maybe that can be caught up into just like, oh, she's just nagging him. But also, like, he comes off as like a child in a lot of scenes where it's just like Laura Dern calls him and she's like, you know, you have to hire a lawyer or we just get whatever we want, right? He's like, I thought I could just, you know, whenever I could, you know, do this.
He's naive.
But Scarlett Johansson's like that too. She doesn't quite understand what she's getting herself into, and she has the same kind
She
of
knows what the fuck is going on. She
But
knows.
the 45-55 is another example of she's like, wait, why can't I just do this? Why can't it be 50-50? And so there's not a clear understanding. And then when they both agree to hash it out, they both think that like this thing can just be solved in a room if we just sit down and do it, like it's homework or something. So I would disagree with he's a child. I think he's weird, but I don't know if he's like. I just think he doesn't get it, because who does get it unless you do it? Who understands what divorce is like until it happens?
He didn't take it seriously.
Right.
He never thought at any point that this was actually going to happen, which is another sign
Right.
of his arrogance.
Okay.
I did like that detail.
A good scene that portrays that, which is another just fucking brilliant scene, which is the divorce papers, him being served with the family.
Yes.
That was the best scene in the movie. I think.
Where they're like, she's in the room with her mother and her sister, and they're going back and forth talking about how they're gonna serve him when he comes. Or she's like, I can't do it. The sister has to do it, but the sister's a bad actor. Actually, this is a family of actors, and she's notably the worst one. And then Adam Driver comes in, and he's like best friends with like the mom and the sister.
Chima!
And then he's doing the funny English accent, and then he's like, what are those papers?
Yeah.
And she's like,
Why's my name on it?
why is my name on this envelope? And she's just like, you've been served.
She goes like she like
It's so abrupt. And like you see that like boyish charm like get wiped off his face, and then he's like, oh, this is real. Like, this is happening.
So the thing that I've always loved about Noah Baumbach in his autobiographical movies, and The Squid and the Whale is a perfect example of this, is that he's not afraid to portray his male leads as fuck-ups, as arrogant fuck-ups. You look at Squid and the Whale, you see the scene where, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but Jesse Eisenberg portrays him, and he plagiarizes and steals "Hey You" by Pink Floyd, and he's like, I just wrote this song. It was like no big thing, and then he gets caught, right, and disciplined as a result.
That's such a good movie.
It's a great movie, but he's not afraid to show that side, that arrogance. I'll never get caught. People don't know Pink Floyd. I'm the only one in the fucking world that knows Pink Floyd. And she's not serious about this. She doesn't really mean to serve me divorce papers. We're going to sort this all out.
Right.
That kind of male arrogance.
We don't have much stuff.
Yeah, that's very specific male arrogance is on full display in this movie. And that is the crux.
men aren't arrogant.
That is the inciting incident. Sure, he fucked Marianne or whatever his name or her name was.
He was already on the couch at that point.
Donna.
Yeah, but he was already in a rough spot because he could not possibly see his wife
We haven't
as
had
a
sex in a
human
year.
being. Yeah, he only saw her as a prop in his theater company and as something that he could take to a party and introduce as his wife. She was not a person to him.
I understand that that's what the character's problem is. I just
And
felt like
all
we
this
had-
shit is in the movie.
I think the
this
balance-
is in the movie. This is not me reaching.
When does he use her as a prop? Except for the scene where she's acting. I'm just asking. Do you know what I mean? Like
Not a word of this. Not a word of this.
So I agree with that mostly. I just felt like the balance of telling and showing wasn't just specifically with him being a shitty person wasn't quite balanced.
So I feel like to answer your question, I feel like it would have been to the detriment of the film if he had included a scene where they were at like a rap party or something and he was treating her like a proper, like an object.
I agree.
I think the implication is enough for us to know, oh no, this is just like their relationship.
Yeah.
This is just how things go.
And I think the movie's so good because you can have great scenes and great acting and like it looks so good that you don't need any of that. Like it's and the writing's good enough. It's kind of sprinkled in there. I don't think it's a bad quality. I would just say that if this movie had anything wrong with it, for me that would be it.
Well, I mean, for me at least, like the day after I watched this movie, it's one of those where I think about it all day.
I thought about it all day the day after I watched it.
Because I was like really thinking about it. I was like, I'm kind of on Adam Driver's side. Like, she fucking took his kid and flew across the country and just tried to like live there with the kid. I was like, what's he supposed to do? Just like fly back and forth, you know? And then I'm like, well, I can kind of see it from her perspective. Like, you know, that's where her family is. That's where she wants her life. And then I'm going back and forth in my mind. I'm like, who's the asshole?
There are no easy answers.
This is literally
in
the
this
story.
movie.
Divorce.
My parents' divorce is literally the exact same. My mom went to LA, and my dad had to choose to either stay here or go to California.
And here's what makes this movie I'll say it, masterpiece. Which is at the end.
A marriage to peace.
When he goes over to grab his son, and the son is playing with Scarlett Johansson's new boyfriend Clayton or whatever his name is, and they're all dressing up as the Beatles and
Sergeant Pepper's.
Sergeant Pepper's, and then they give him a ghost costume, which he's trailing them in the
like
ghost
6'7"
costume.
ghost.
Yes, which reminded me of A Ghost Story, which actually is still right now on my list of one of the best films of the decade.
Wow. Okay.
But anyway, it's the scene when you see that she has created a new family. Mm-hmm. She is whole again. And then he walks in on his son reading the letter, Things That I Love About Charlie, that she wrote when they were doing
That she couldn't read herself.
That she couldn't read herself when they were doing the mediator. And he reads it himself. And he, at that last line, just like literally like,
it's like, I love him. I will always love him.
I will always love him, even if it's not right, or something to that effect.
Super powerful scene. Yeah.
I apologize. That's my favorite scene.
It was incredible, and it was this perfect denouement to the whole story, where we know Scarlett Johansson has resolution, but then we get to see the resolution that Charlie has, where he realizes, like, okay, I may have been an asshole, I may have been a neglectful father, parent, that's the same thing, husband.
It's gender specific, though.
But I am still lovable. Like, I can still move past this.
Well, that's the resolution of the big fight. Is where it's like, I fucking hate you. I wish you were dead. And then this letter kind of brings it out. It's just like, hey, look, we're not going to be together, but I love you. I will always love you. These are the things I love about you. Now, I love this scene, but think like upon further reflection, why the fuck is this kid who can't read have this letter all of a sudden?
Well, that's the whole point of like teaching the kid how to read, is so that we could get to this point, and the kid just finds it. The kid we have to
of movie making,
yes, we have to suspend
Yeah.
we have to suspend our disbelief just a little bit.
Sure.
But the intention is true, and the intention is,
Oh, believe me, I felt that.
yes.
Yeah.
And then yeah, you have that great scene where it cuts to them in Sergeant Pepper's clothing, and he's in the ghost costume,
The 6'7" ghost just following them.
as George Martin, the dead George Martin, trailing the Sergeant Pepper's ghost, and
Was that what his character was dead George Martin?
yeah, and
God.
then she's like, you want to take him for the night, and you leave the movie with a hopeful feeling. They're gonna get along.
That was exactly. That was the mutual respect that you were hoping for the whole time.
Oh, I like the part where the last shot is, or not the shot, but the last thing that Scarlett Johansson does is tie his shoe.
Yes,
Because it's essentially saying like we're gonna be in each other's lives.
Oh, we still have this relationship.
Yeah.
and there's also that great moment where he comes over to her house, and she's like, "You're looking a little shaggy," and he's like, "Yeah, well, I need to find a barber," which is established early in the movie when he says, "What I love about Nicole, she cuts all her hair," and she's like, "Let me give you a trim," and then it cuts to him, and he's looking clearly conflicted as she's doing her thing. She hasn't missed a beat. She's still trimming hair like she used to.
I think it's like one of those moments where if you reconnect with an ex and you just like you miss them
in
so
your
much,
old
but you
ways.
like you cut their hair and stuff and take it with you when you leave. But no, you just you like
Tape it to your face.
you savor all the little moments, even if you are projecting too much, and it's like you just kind of like take something and make more meaning out of it.
The point is
Just like hold into your heart a little bit.
yes, the point is not that these people don't love each other anymore. The point is that love exists and love is eternal, but love is not always enough. And
God is enough.
Can I say one thing real quick? Just on that scene we were talking about with the cutting the hair.
Uh-huh.
That amazing like imagery of them closing the door together, and you see them like the they're like looking each other in the eyes.
the
and
gate.
then
Yeah, they're closing the
Oh, I
gate.
like that
Yeah,
one.
just a perfect moment of symbolism.
Yes.
CHC over
But no, this movie is realistic and humanistic, and it has such an affection for its characters and for its audience. And the point is that love exists. Love is the most important thing, but love is not enough all the time, and we must accept that. That is a hard truth to accept. That is a bitter pill to swallow.
Amen, brother. Josh, would you recommend this movie?
Hell no.
That's what I fucking thought, man.
Jackson, would you?
No, that's all right. I was joking. I'm joking. Yes, I would recommend this movie. It's one of the best movies of the year.
Categorically, yes. This is one of the movies where I am actually telling people about it. I'm like, I watched a great movie last night. You need to watch this movie.
Who are these people?
Here's the best part about it is that it's on Netflix. It's a service that 98% of the population have. If you have Netflix, you need to watch this movie. It is a masterpiece.
So you recommend it?
hilarious. You feel it.
I 100% recommend this movie.
What
I
about-
love it. I've done nothing but think about it since I've seen it. It is an act of genius and grace and generosity.
I have a question. What if you're doing laundry? What should you do? In the movie, it's like
You just keep,
Pause that shit. If you're doing laundry and you're watching this movie, you pause that
or
shit.
you go looking for just laundry.
So this is
all
not a
over the
laundry
house
movie.
to keep doing.
This is a movie that in the very near future I will watch again.
I was thinking the same thing.
This is not something where it's like 2 years from now we're like, you want to watch fucking Marriage Story?
It was so good. Like maybe halfway through this movie, I was already thinking about when I was going to rewatch it.
Same, absolutely same.
Wow,
No.
that's crazy. I haven't thought about this movie since I watched it.
Well, you hate movies, so
So one
Sure.
one last thing before we leave. I think one criticism that you can level at this movie is that it is white people being sad. How are we to feel any sort of sympathy for these affluent white people who are going through a divorce when there's millions of people going through divorce at any given time?
But you have to give this movie credit because it is self-reflective and self-aware of that, because they're there with their high-powered attorneys arguing each other. Well, you're a drunk. Well, you're selfish, and then the camera pans out and you have a full theater in the courtroom of minorities,
People who are awaiting their trial date,
Yeah.
you know.
Minorities.
Minorities.
what
I don't have any. Noah Baumbach's white, and he's gonna tell a white perspective, and I don't have any problems.
Well, and he gives the judge that voice too, where he's like, "Well, the other people waiting in line don't have the resources you do to have this attorney,
Yeah.
argue every nitpicky thing
And I think
that's going on here."
And what you do in that situation is when you are privileged or whatever is you make fun of it, and you have characters like Adam Driver, who's a pretentious, like avant-garde theater director. Like he is the most white thing you can
The
be.
whitest of all endeavors is an avant-garde theater
So
director.
it's like you have that character and you can poke fun at it, and you aren't necessarily like taking it too seriously. This person. So I think it kind of gives you leeway. And some
Yeah, don't take it
space.
too seriously. Just give him like a genius grant is all.
It's true. Well, the Genius Grant's funny because like what is the play that they were doing in the movie? It's like it seems kind of stupid,
Breathtaking in its boringness and
It's like,
stupidity.
and it's like, oh, he's a genius.
Yeah.
Try crawling, but still standing.
Yeah,
That was like a perfect.
it's it's like right on the balance
summary
of like
this avant-garde.
it's like
theater.
are we supposed to take this seriously, or is it supposed to be funny and stupid? And so I think that's really good, and that kind of gives it the space to be like, yeah, it's about white people, but we can at least laugh at them a little bit.
Can I have one last word about kind of like a meta thing about the streaming thing? Is that
I don't know. Can you?
Yeah, none of that's going in.
He said.
That's going in.
Can I?
This is a brilliant podcast.
It's may I?
Are you able to, or would you like to?
Yeah. Are you physically able to make a last statement?
Does
or...
your larynx work? Do your vocal cords vibrate? When air is passing
So
through
good.
them?
Please say what you were gonna
Did you
say.
hear that while I was watching the Marriage Story of me just cackling like?
I did hear you laugh. Yeah, laugh, cry, laugh.
Okay, please.
I feel like this is one of the movies that I've seen that was made for these streaming services and produced by the streaming services where the director maintains his voice completely through. Where it feels like a Noah Baumbach movie. The Irishman, to me, does not feel like a Scorsese movie completely.
What about the wedding movie with Adam Sandler? That felt like his voice.
I can't comment on that. Sorry.
Jennifer Aniston?
I'll take your word for it.
What?
Let's put it that way.
Are you serious?
I think that's an interesting point, but I do disagree with you. I felt like The Irishman, for the most part, was authentic Scorsese. It had the look. It had all of the like.
Then why wasn't it as good?
The VO narration and
Then
why wasn't it as good is because Marty Scorsese is like 97 years old and Noah
it's
Baumbach
ages, too.
is basically working at the top of his game.
So I'll tell Charlie what's happening, and Cassie, you then hand him the envelope.
I just get nervous.
Can you unserve? What do you mean, like take it back?
Arigato. Thanks for watching.
Me and Addison will just keep talking about this movie.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to Be Honest. Make sure to like and subscribe.
We gotta remember to do that.
The next episode is going to be Star Wars The Phantom Menace.
Let's fucking
Hey, are you
go.
ready?
Make
Star Wars. Star Wars.